Ancient texts describe him as a being of absolute physical perfection. According to the 32 major marks of the Buddha, his body was a serene, idealized form that had entirely transcended human suffering. This carving shows his footprints. Notice the 1,000-spoked wheels etched right into the soles. To early Buddhists, those wheels represented a destiny to carry the Dharma, or the teachings, across the world. To his early followers, these traits were literal karmic rewards accumulated over eons of flawless behavior. They viewed him as almost biologically invincible. But the historical texts, particularly the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, paint a very different picture. By the time he is 80 years old, the Buddha is physically exhausted. His body is failing, and he is entirely mortal. This creates an immediate crisis. When a spiritual movement relies entirely on the physical presence of one perfect founder, the impending collapse of that body threatens the survival of the movement itself. The texts detail a specific turning point. While resting near a village, the Buddha accepts a meal from a local metalworker named Chunda. The dish, a pork or mushroom preparation called Sukara Madhava, is difficult to digest. The meal triggers an attack of severe dysentery. The text notes that sharp, violent pains tear through his body, pushing him to the absolute brink. Through pure exertion of will, he manages to suppress the agony. He forces himself to his feet and begins a slow, grueling walk toward the distant town of Kusinagara. This physical breakdown is the ultimate proof of his human reality. He is entirely subject to biology, and he knows he has very little time left to prepare his disciples for a future without him. His first crucial decision is what he refuses to do. As he nears the end, his followers expect him to name a successor, a new leader to guide them. He explicitly rejects this. Instead, he establishes the 7 principles that prevent decline, mandating the monastic community must govern collectively and in total harmony. To ensure they don't drift, he leaves a strict rule. They must not abolish existing decrees. The original teachings are the final authority. He even manages the psychological fallout of his death. Anticipating that his followers might blame Kunda for the fatal meal, the Buddha explicitly declares that providing his final meal was an act of immense merit, effectively squashing any potential for a witch hunt. Step by step, he is dismantling the architecture of his own leadership. He is replacing a centralized figurehead with a decentralized, self-governing legal framework. Exhausted from the journey, the Buddha finally arrives at a grove of tall sela trees just outside Kusinagara. He asks his attendant, Ananda, to prepare a couch between 2 trunks so he can lie down. According to the texts, the trees respond to his presence. Even though it is completely out of season, they burst into bloom, scattering blossoms over his resting body to honor him. His closest attendant, Ananda, steps away from the scene and sobs. To Ananda, this miraculous display of flowers feels like the only appropriate reaction to the loss of their master. But the Buddha calls Ananda back and corrects him. He explains that true reverence isn't found in flowers or physical worship. It is found strictly by living according to the ethical teachings he is leaving behind. This final conversation completes the pivot. He is commanding them to detach from his dying physical body and redirect their devotion to the immortal body of his teachings. In the final watch of the night, the Buddha passes away. The founder is gone, and the disciples are entirely on their own. The system is immediately tested. While most of the community grieves, one monk openly rejoices, telling the others they are finally free to do whatever they want now that the strict ascetic is no longer there to restrict them. A senior monk named Mahakassapa hears this and realizes the community is hours away from fracturing. To lock the teachings in place before they can be corrupted, he urgently convenes the first Buddhist council. The council has a strict requirement: only enlightened monks can attend. This poses a massive problem for Ananda. He is the only person who memorized every single discourse, but he hasn't reached enlightenment yet. He has to achieve it against the clock, spending the entire night in intensive meditation. By dawn, Ananda succeeds. He takes his seat in the council and recites the teachings from memory. This collective recitation begins the process of transforming a fragile oral tradition into the codified texts we now know as the Tipitaka. The movement survived because its leader spent his final months actively engineering his own obsolescence. His human form failed, but by systematically replacing himself with a strict, decentralized code of conduct, the teachings themselves achieved immortality.